Star Trek Wars is sponsored by Dave Matthews Two-Step Popcorn. Step 1, heat. Step 2, enjoy. He wakes up, wants some popcorn.
Stop.
No?
No. Not feeling it.
All right.
I miss Shaggy already.
No sponsor today.
I'm more of a Fleetwood Mac kind of guy anyway.
Oh.
This week on Star Trek Wars, Worf gives in to being a dad, and it almost kills him. Sisko gives in to being the emissary, and it almost kills him. Janeway finally gives in to her romantic feelings, and, well, you guessed it. Tonight we're reviewing the 10th episodes of Season 5, Who Will Win Well. It's a battle that can only be decided through...
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyagers of the Starship Enterprise.
That pin off! Commander Worf, prepare to launch torpedoes!
I don't like bullies.
No!
And I don't like threats.
No!
And I don't like you.
The line must be drawn here.
We're going to war.
This far, no farther! To hell with you!
I beg your pardon.
I will make them pay for what they've done!
This is Star Trek Wars. Lower your expectations and prepare to be entertained. Resistance is futile.
One thing is certain, we're losing the peace, which means a war could be our only hope.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jeremy. The podcasting gods have gifted me with visions of the future, so I can already apologize in advance for tonight's episode. It's going to be a rough one. Joining me tonight, hidden in your ear to keep him from harm, my co-host Jordan is here. Hi, Jordan.
Disgusting. You ever clean this wax? Oh my gosh.
To my left, dropped off by my mother because she was too old to continue podcasting with him and felt it was my responsibility.
Too old.
Too old. My teenage son, Connor, is here. Hi, Connor.
I didn't steal our sponsor today. Refreshy? That's right. No more Canada Dry for these guys. We've ditched our corporate overlords to join new ones. And now we're drinking water instead of soda products. So.
That is true. We are no longer drinking soda in this house.
We're not the fat slobs you all thought we were.
Thank you.
Thank you. I know we're great.
Oh, and here after serving her term as a Maquis trader, it's Lita. Hi, Lita.
Oh, hey guys. I'll just pop right back in like nothing happened.
Fantastic. Welcome to Star Trek Wars. The episodes we're reviewing tonight will be rated on a scale from 1 to 10 by us, the co-hosts, and you guys in the Star Trek Wars Council that left a rating on our Facebook page. The only thing with that water, Connor, is it doesn't make like a sound when you open it.
It doesn't. It's kind of disappointing.
You just drank a whole water.
Just like my son. But
Just need sparkling water.
In 4 years, you're going to have to take care of him. But not today.
Not today.
If you wish to join the council and have your vote counted, head over to our Facebook page. You can find us by searching for Star Trek Wars. The council should pop right up at the top. There you can rate the episodes yourself and can also leave a comment that'll be potentially read on air. It's a great community. Jordan, Lita, and myself are on there, very active, and love talking Trek with you. But first, before we get started, in the category of be careful what you wish for, the requested Ferengi rap is done. Now, I sat down to record this rap and thought of all the great rappers of old. There's so many to name, I can't name them all. And I just decided to let the music just wash over me. So I cleared my head and I just spit out the mad rhymes, free-forming, and I'm going to play it for you tonight. I got to be honest, though, it took me about 30 seconds to really get into the flow. So be patient. But I think I really find my voice eventually. So here we go.
Drop a beat. Oh, that's good. Yeah. Okay. M to the double O-G-I-E. That's a Ferengi's mom, you see. So you can front all you want. Doesn't bother me, but it won't buy you into the divine treasury. Brother. So if you want in my party, you gotta pay. But with this, I must be blunt. My raves are banned by the FCA and anyone who goes by the name of Brunt. But don't come at me like you're Captain Killy. You try and flex on me, huh? Don't be silly. Get jiggy with it. Getting jiggy with it. Nah. Getting jiggy with it. Nah. Get jiggy with it. Nah. Getting jiggy with it. Nah, brother. What you want the ball with the kid? Watch step you might fall trying to do what I did. Mama, mama, come closer in the middle of the club with a rubber dub. No love for the haters. Matt Cuz gotta go 4 seats at the Lakers. Sit me on the 50-yard line with the Raiders. I met Ali. He told me I'm the greatest. I got the fever for the flavor of a crowd pleaser.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna stop you right there.
Wait, I was just getting started with that.
I'm sorry.
What's the problem with that? That was great.
That was trash.
What was wrong with that?
A minute shorter.
You moronic sellout. And that's coming from me. I sold my bone marrow for a good Bruce Springsteen impression.
Name one problem with that rap.
I thought that was exactly how it would have happened if he had sat down to do a rap.
Right.
I think basically tailoring your rap game after Will Smith might not be the best choice.
Yeah.
Jordan, I'm sorry. Who?
Yeah, and second of all, the second part of this Crunk Diggleton song was written by a little guy. You might have heard of him. His name was John Denver.
Oh,
so
I didn't know I plagiarized John Denver.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought this was all new to me.
And his latest album, Colorado, Na 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 Na.
Yeah.
What is your Ferengi rap name, Jeremy?
DJ Lobes.
Rom DMC.
Rom DMC, featuring DJ Lobes. Yes. Okay, and file that under. Be careful what you wish for. But seriously, in the meantime, we are reviewing the 10th episodes of season 5. So are we ready?
I'm embarrassed
Are
to
we
know
ever?
you.
Let's get started.
If you wish to face a greater challenge, you may stay here with me. It will not be easy for either of us. But perhaps we can face the challenge together.
I accept your challenge, Father. I will stay.
I believe your mother would be pleased.
Star Trek: The Next Generation, Season 5, Episode 10, New Ground, written by Grant Rosenberg, directed by Robert Scheer. Worf tries to be a father to his son, Alexander, while the Enterprise helps to test a new propulsion technology. All right, Connor, what are your pros for New Ground?
I like the beginning scene where Geordi's really excited about this new technology. And Data's like, hey, every moment we're in is part of history. And, they're talking about that, and Data says it might be interesting, which I think is funny. Deanna Troi does her job.
Yeah.
And I mean, actually does it. And she doesn't even have to use her quote-unquote made-up telepathy powers that she tells everyone she has. She just uses basic psychology. And I like that. I like that she's actually useful, and because Worf is pretty oblivious on how to raise a child, I would know.
What does that mean?
Listen, man, I get around.
About your father or about your son?
Oh, I have around 14 kids around the Colorado Springs area, and I get around. I'm not, I can't just keep myself down with just one person, I gotta experience life. Life is like fruit. You just gotta eat all of it.
What the hell does that mean?
I don't know. Thank you, Mr. Hudson.
What's Cisco?
Oh, sorry. Listen, man, you may say, Connor, why don't you get married? I'm much too slick for that.
What the hell does that mean?
Good times. Now then.
You always were an optimist.
Or an opportunist. Now then. I really liked the fact that they're actually trying to research some new technology. Because all we ever hear is, we're upgrading the sensor system. But that doesn't really mean anything. You know, we hear that we're upgrading the sensor system or the data array or whatever, but they're actually trying new stuff here that might put Geordi out of a job, so I'm all for it. And of course, it goes poorly because we don't want to change the technology too radically, but I mean, I think it's an interesting concept to be kind of surfing on it like a surfboard, like a wave on a beach.
Yeah, warps up, dude.
Whoa. Live long
You
and
sounded like
prosper,
Beyonce
man.
when you said that.
Get that a lot.
But I enjoyed that a lot. I enjoyed how it kind of went crazy. I really liked that weird vein thing, the weird, like, wood creature.
Or the endangered creature.
Yeah. You know, I don't like endangered species, but I think I'll make an exception for this.
They're weak?
Yes!
Sacrifice the weak so that the strong may prevail.
I've become Janeway. But I thought he had a really cool design.
Don't bust out Janeway too early. We want you to be able to talk at the end.
You have a good point.
Now then.
Ooh, I guess I need some of this refreshing. By now, it's on discount.
Now, it's too subtle. I really did enjoy the scene
Is
where
that water actually called Refreshies?
it is called Refreshy.
Well, I'm not buying it anymore. Awful.
If you're interested, it's REFRESHE Refreshy. Buy it now. Thank you. Good night.
You've
folks.
sold me.
That's a refreshing.
It's a refreshy. It's my mama's recipe. Now we've alienated half our audience. Lita, your turn.
So much spaghetti sauce in this water.
There is. That's why it's so red. I just poured some ginger freckles into your give it mystical power.
It's bubbling.
All right. Sounds delicious.
And nutritious.
Refreshing.
So, my pros for this week. I really loved the opening scene, like you said, Connor, the scene between Geordi, and it was so sweet to see Geordi's enthusiasm about this new technology that's amazing, and then just Worf and Data just like shut him down. It was hilarious, and I laughed every time I watched it. It was great. But I also liked Worf's mom. She's so sweet. And I liked that, like, she didn't let Worf stick Alexander on them for forever. She's just like, hello, just bringing him without warning and dropping him off. And I don't know. I thought that Worf's son was a lot like Worf in a lot of ways. It feels like he's quiet, dramatic, stubborn, and they both like to embellish the truth and lie a little bit. So I thought that was cute.
Does Worf do that?
All of his fake prophecies?
Is vague prophecies?
It's
Wait,
fake.
What
Like the ones he makes up.
Oh, you mean like proverbs of like the Klingons?
Oh, proverbs, yes.
Prophecies? I was like, whoa.
Deep Space Nine. Hold on.
I've been thinking about DS9.
Worf's Stradamus.
Sorry. But it was, I liked the side story, I think, a little bit better, like the idea of creating this new way to travel. And I thought it was pretty interesting. Jordan, did you like it?
They're riding the wave, brother. Hey, Connor?
Yeah.
Jeremy, I don't know if you told Connor this, but those Eagle Moss models are for all the kids.
No.
With the pumped up
Is
kid?
that a Ferengi Marauder in your pocket? I saw you stick that in your pocket, Connor.
No.
Dad, you wouldn't steal that, would you? How dare you accuse him of that? See?
Connor, he's accusing you. Empty your pockets.
Yeah.
Wait, he's accusing me?
That's a nice deflection.
No. Wait. Why fight when we could love?
Connor, empty your pocket.
Okay, here it is.
It's another refreshing.
It is. Oh. Oh no.
Connor, you don't have to act it out in real life because you just made a mess of yourself.
It's all
They can't see you.
It's all over me. It's in my shirt, but it tastes so right.
Kosha just won the Super Bowl. No one can
Really
see that.
sold out for that.
My ego just deflated like a Patriots football.
They actually, yeah, that's great. I would say, getting back to the episode, Geordi mentioning Zephyrin Cochran and his first warp jump was pretty awesome, especially seeing as how he gets to be there for the warp jump.
That's true.
So happy for Geordi in that moment, because I know his future. I look at parenting and Starfleet was kind of interesting because we don't really get to see, aside from the horrible example that is Dr. Crusher, a whole lot of parenting in the Next Generation at all for all those kids that are on the ship and families. Like, we don't get to see that very often. You don't see it in the original series at all. You pretty much get like one character per show for the most part. You get Wesley, and now we get Alexander a little bit, and then Naomi Wildman, and Jake, which is probably the best example of an actual good relationship. So I think Deep Space Nine learned a lot from some bad choices in TNG in that regard. Troy is helpful. She's helping. She's like using her counseling powers to help Worf make better choices. It was refreshing. Like a... What's that drink you guys are drinking? I already forgot.
Refreshing.
A refreshing. Oh, man.
Let the flavor revolution begin.
I don't have a ton of pros aside from that. I did like the last scene that you played the clip for. Just how Worf puts it as far as challenging Alexander to stay in a very Klingon way, asking him to stay, basically. Thought that was a good scene with an atrocious result because I've seen further episodes. And I have an answer for, the council out there. I know everyone's asking, how is Alexander so big? Why has he grown up so fast? Mm-hmm. Well, it's clear to me, and I don't want to be the one to say this, but obviously Alexander has some augment DNA.
Oh, snap.
Yes, some horrible, when you freeze something for a really long time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then you take it out of the freezer and you let it defrost, and then you use it, and it's not quite right.
Yeah.
That's the augment DNA that Alexander got.
He's not quite right.
One time I heated up my Hot Pocket, but there was ice in there, not pepperoni.
Who was the ugly duckling of the augments that they leave behind because he's not quite a good augment?
Oh, yeah, Shemp or whatever.
Shemp, yeah. So he got the Shemp DNA, man. That kid, he got big, quick, but he dumb. I don't know.
I mean, sure, his brain got smart, but his head got dumb.
Okay.
Is that making... Oh, jeez. So... instead of being extra fast reflexes and really good at fighting, he just got really big and has a big head, and it accentuated all his bad qualities. Like, he steals and lies all the time. So that's what happened to Alexander. And that's all I've got because we're spending too much time talking about this episode. What do you have to say positive about this episode, Jeremy?
So much. I like
taking the backseat.
What? I like words, Mom. Okay, I don't even know what that means. Autocorrect, so I'm going to skip that one. I do like words.
Me too. Mom. And I do like my mom. Fun fact.
I liked how understanding Picard was with the whole terrible kid situation Worf was having.
That's true, yeah.
You guys touched on this, Geordi talking to an unenthusiastic Worf and Data. It was nice to see him excited over something besides a married woman.
Right?
A holographic married woman.
Right. So, yeah, that was cool to see. And then seeing Riker save the little Trevis at the end, I thought that was adorable how
oh my God.
Saves the little guy. Yeah.
It's all coming towards me now. It's because of Riker, Flotter, and Trevis exists.
I don't know if that's how it works, but...
No. Riker's the villain. My God.
You just now figured that out?
Right. You haven't been paying attention. Neutral zone wise, and I'm not going to put him in my cons. It's Alexander. Just having a 5-year-old, I can sympathize with the struggle of having a kid misbehave in class and trying to find that balance of loving him and punishing him. So I can see I mean, my kid's not a filthy 5-year-old that steals, thank God. But I mean,
Yeah, I'm a filthy 15-year-old.
right. But I understand that it's a tough balance. It can't be like a perfect balance like the hair bobs that they have going.
Yeah, Jeremy, but did you try to give your son away and successfully do so and then get him back and immediately try to give him away again?
No, not successfully, no.
Okay.
He tried.
And did you guys know that the Enterprise has a teacher?
No, I didn't. I thought it was like some sort of fun place where kids just have fun and don't have to answer to no authority.
Well, I look forward to seeing that reoccurring teacher role.
Oh, me too. I'm sure she's going to have a long, fruitful career on the show.
All right, Connor, let's get into your... What are your cons for Newground?
Well, like a kid in a cul-de-sac. Alexander belongs to the Lollipop Guild.
Oh.
You just see him when he comes out of that teleporter. I was just laughing.
Teleporter, like an old man.
What's it called?
Transporter?
A transporter. I know
Jason
tons about Star Trek. Yeah, but oh man, that was a beautiful outfit. That it's like maybe it's a hand-me-down from Wesley when he was younger, but that's what I think anyway. I thought that was hilarious. Alexander's a little snot. You know, if I acted that way back in the day, I'd be flogged by the master. But now, look at these kids. They ain't got no respect.
Look at what an outstanding little individual you've become.
Thank you. You know, it's not easy being a father of 14. Let me tell you. Alexander, you know, he's... Oh, man, I hope my kid doesn't turn out that way.
We all do.
Thank you. You know, my real kids.
Right.
The ones that I'm really looking forward to. You know, and he's like, the kid's like, you know, Father, I'll make you proud of me. It's like, your word means nothing. You're a liar, you're a cheat, and you're a degenerative thug. You know, that's what I'd tell him. I would lay down the law of the land. You know. Oh man, he's a bully, and I get that. You know, bullying makes you feel powerful. You know, and it's like cocaine, gives you the rush. But you know what?
It's bowling.
Yes.
I really like bowling.
That rush of bowling.
Yeah. Man.
The thrill of the strike.
The speed.
Well, the thrill of the gutter ball, I suppose.
Oh wow.
I sing Amazing
Putting on those
Grace whenever
moist
that happens.
shoes that you know someone else has been sweating in only 20 minutes prior.
That's why you gotta put, you gotta butter your britches.
What?
I'm not gonna ask what you think that means.
So, anyway, I'm kind of disappointed that we didn't really get to implement this new technology. Because I know that would change things radically, but I don't know. I think it'd be just more interesting if we actually change technology now and then. Because all we've really seen is, quote-unquote, like, you know, upgrades to the sensor array. But that doesn't really mean anything. Like, in the show, you know, unless it's convenient for some sort of crisis that they narrowly come out from. Which I think is kind of a big problem with this show, because most episodes end with them solving some sort of crisis, and it almost destroys them. But they make it they make it out of there within like a millisecond. I think that happens too much on this show, and I don't know. I think they should make some more permanent changes around here. Alexander is staying. That make kind of sad. I was after watching that, he's like, because Worf's like, if you want a real challenge, you will stay here and learn the ways of mankind. You know, and
Worf impression is getting great.
It is. I'm a burly lumberjack. But and then so he's staying. Hopefully he's not a recurring character, if you know what I'm saying. I think people are going to misinterpret what I mean by that. I hope that they say he's there, but just leave him out of all the episodes. Lita, I'm calling you.
I think I kind of agree with that. My first con was Alexander is back for good. That being Alexander, a.k.a. Triangle Head, a.k.a. Balana 3.
Who's Balana 2?
which is the name of the planet.
The planet.
Oh, got him.
I found it really irritating whenever. Can they not mute their communicators? Because whenever Worf was talking to the captain, everybody was interrupting him over and over.
If you answer, you're on speakerphone.
Yeah, but can you not mute it? Like when you're going in to talk with the captain?
It's a really shady area of communication on the ship.
Okay.
And how does it know when you're finished and all that stuff? So, I don't know.
Okay. I thought that the father-son field trip was a little bit weird. Like, why would they be having father-son field trips at that day and age? And I thought that the Corvin worms, what were they? Those were pretty gross. They were very strange looking. And I don't know. It was just a bit slow. Like, the whole father-son drama was just too long, I think. It's my biggest burn to it. What about you, Jordan?
I called that Corvin Gilvos.
Ah.
It's a Gilvo. Yeah, Worf gets parent trapped by his own mom. That was pretty interesting. She traps him into being a parent again. So, like, here's your son. Oh, he's not coming home.
Gotcha.
Only she didn't even tell him.
Got him.
Sucker.
Boom, roasted. Worf trying to give his son away again after he just gets him back? Like, golly. It will not work. There's got to be someone else I can give him to. Okay, I'll send him off to Klingon boarding school. Like, geez, take some responsibility for your actions for at least a couple minutes, Worf. And he also invokes, like, Kalar constantly like, your mom would not like that. Your mom would this. Your mom would like that. Like, stop using his dead mom. It's, complete manipulation. You haven't talked about her in 2 years, and now all of a sudden you're name dropping her left and right?
Yeah.
Also, not everyone should be a parent. I've said this before. I'll say it again. And Worf is a terrible parent. It's just like he talks to his son, like, it will not happen again. I spoke with the child. He's so arrogant. So it's kind of nice to see Worf knock down a peg and know that he's not perfect. And he's comfortable, very comfortable with certain things, but kids is not one of them. And he has no tact, and he's easily fooled. And his standards, I think, are too high for what his son can achieve at this point, and he doesn't spend the proper time with him either. There's also another failed warp replacement that we see in this episode. We see that a lot in Voyager, like different ways to travel that never quite pan out, or Voyager can't get the technology. So this was interesting, and you knew it probably wasn't going to work, but it did serve as a B storyline that was interesting, and it got Geordi, a little involved and excited. And really anything that takes you away from having to watch Alexander is great. So, and okay, so Worf's son, Alexander, nearly dies like 2 days into his care. Like, what are you doing? Son almost gets blasted by radiation and caught on fire and killed with endangered species. So it's not a great start. Yeah. Rough day. Aside from that, not too much else. There's a little bit of good stuff here, but I don't feel like I need to watch this episode ever again. Yeah. So what about you, Jeremy?
I figured out what I like words mom means. It's I like Worf's mom. That was an easy one to figure out. Yeah, I still like her.
Yeah, it's kind of hot.
Yeah. What? Just like her, Connor.
Whoa, Jeremy.
I like her.
She's got a pretty mouth.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't think that went through.
Yeah. So cons. I know I said I wasn't going to use Alexander as a con, but man, he's my top con. Alexander the Grating. Am I right, folks?
Oh, got him.
Yeah. My biggest con is that nothing really happens. Worf tells Alexander to do something. He doesn't. They talk about it. Worf thinks it's all good, and it isn't.
How dare you?
Rinse and repeat 5 times.
There's a ton of action in this one. There's an explosion, and then Worf lifts it up. some
He lifts up
metal
the
beam.
explosion.
Yes, he started it to wipe away his burden, and then he lifted up a beam. Tons of action, dude.
And then they tried out a new warp technique. Didn't work. And I don't like to bring out talk about the false science because I'm not a smart man. So I don't. This is a dangerous area for me to go down because I'm pretty stupid. And old Treks are guilty of this, but that two-dimensional thinking when you're in space is just crazy in this episode. The wave is so far across that they can't warp around it. It's only going warp 6.
Go over the top of it or below it.
Exactly. So it still looks, and then when they reach it, it still looks like the same width that it was from the beginning. But let's even pretend that's true. You're telling me they can't go above or under it? They have to go straight through it.
I kind of had a Nexus vibe to it.
Yeah, in all the wrong ways. All right, let's go ahead and review this one. Connor, what do you give New Ground?
I give this one a 5. A 5. Not no ground. No ground, no beef, boy.
Right. Lita.
I gave this 6 space waves.
Nice. Jordan.
Give this a 4. Alexander, give up. I have the high ground. No, I give this a 4 tardy wharfs. She's late constantly in this episode.
Tardy wharf. Yeah. With Lita with that, I give it 5 warp waves. So pretty close. Star Trek Wars Council give an average score of a 5.64. Let's hear from them now. Let's go ahead and just hear from them now.
Captain, we're receiving 285,000 hails.
Senior Councilwoman Laney says, Worf and Alexander discuss carless? What is a carless? Hashtag not my K-less. Yeah, I don't know how religious you are if you can't pronounce your god. I sure love that Jeebus.
Eubus.
Will Flora says, I think this episode could have been worse, but it ends up being bearable. At least Troy gets something to do out of all this. But why do the comms not work in the biolab? Why will radiation flood the biolab, but not 10 feet outside the biolab? Also, how is Warp 9 not fast enough to go around the wave? Aren't all Warp 9 factors almost 1,000 times faster than Warp 7 factors? Using hand wavium to not science your way out of things takes skill, I guess. Ooh, 6 Klingon school references. And finally, we have an incoming transmission from Senior Council members Benedict Schneider. Let's hear what he has to say about this episode.
Hello, this is Senior Council member Benedict Schneider with my opinion on this week's Next Generation episode. We are approaching the planet Bellana 3. Whoa! Where's Bellana 2? LaForge says, this is going to be like watching Stephen Cochrane engage the first warp drive. Data, this should be interesting. Why, yes, it is, isn't it? Sounds like a movie plot. Haven't we seen the first few seasons how many families are on board the Enterprise? So, Worf, why is it impossible? Not very courageous of you. Still, somehow he quickly became a better parent than Beverly. Then the engine test. So, if a wave of technobabble is strong enough to push a ship to warp drive, wouldn't the wave from the opposite direction tear the ship apart? You're tearing me apart, Soliton waves.
Yes.
Guess we won't find out, though. Did I see this right? Troy was actually helpful this week? Wow. Overall, I give this a 6. 6 Gilvos being saved by Riker.
Awesome. Fantastic as always. Great job, Benedict. Jordan, fun facts.
Heartthrob Georgia Brown reprises her role as Worf's foster mother. Helena Rozhenko following her first appearance. Calm down, Jeremy. In the episode Family. This was her final appearance as also Brown's final appearance as actress passed away in 1992.
I'm so sorry.
Rest in peace. bad timing. This was the first episode showing Brian Bonzal as Worf's son, Alexander, following Jon Stewart's performance in the episode Reunion. He would, bad news, guys. Yeah. He would reprise his role 6 times in future episodes. This episode introduces the Corvan Gilvo, which was designed and created by Michael Westmore and puppeteered by Alison Ebel. It later appeared in Star Trek Deep Space Nine's episode The Nagus. And that's all the fun facts for Next Generation.
All right. Thank you, Jordan.
On the next exciting episode of Star Trek The Next Generation.
Oh, okay, Connor, what happens next time on Next Gen?
Well, today's episode is sponsored by Guinan's Bar. So Worf loses custody of Alexander on charges of neglect. And to cope, Worf tries Guinan's new red hoppin' cactus sap. It's as fiery as a woman scorned, as sour as my divorce, as spicy as a bee, but it's sweet like a fresh pair of eyes. So come on down and escape responsibility.
Yeah!
Yeah! Diddy. What is it called?
No, that's close enough.
Diddly. I don't know what it's called.
Quite diddly.
Oh, I know what it is now, but I've ruined the joke.
Yeah. No, Lita? I think that's better. Next time.
Lita Meister.
All right. Let's see. Next time. So, the Corvan Gilvos rootworms break free of their cages, unbeknownst to the crew. And it turns out that they were just decoys that the Romulans were using to infiltrate the Enterprise. So as soon as the Corvan are free of their cages, they start growing into the computer and sending tentacles of roots all over the ship, quickly twisting and taking over deck by deck. So the crew manages at the very last minute to escape on shuttles, but not before Dr. Crusher shockingly concocts an airborne virus made to kill these specific mutated Corvans and sets the virus to fill the ship's air vents after they left. The crew monitors from afar as the roots wither and die, and just as Sayla pulls up in her cloaked warbird, when she sees the roots receding and dying, she stops for a moment and silently tucks tail and runs back to Romulan space without a word.
Wow.
Call it the Little Ship of Horrors.
The Little Ship of Horrors. Yes, correct.
The roots in her blonde wig could die too. That would be perfect.
That was a full-blown episode there.
They should make that like an entire series. Call it Roots.
Wow, yeah.
The Roots.
Get LeVar Burton back.
Yes.
Okay, Jordan.
Worf immediately regrets his decision to not send Alexander to a Klingon school, so he makes a modification to his training holodeck program by turning the safeties off. So next time Alexander goes to train, he's in for a treat.
So
let me sharpen my batleth.
Mm-hmm.
With your face.
Yes.
I didn't really have anything. Something about Worf pawning him off, Alexander off to Kern. Being like, I'm the bigger brother. I say you have him. I don't know. Anyways.
Now we know why Kern wants to go Deep Space Nine and have his brother kill him.
I just can't take it. All right. When we come back, we will jump into Deep Space Nine. If you haven't done so yet, please take a minute and leave an iTunes review. That simple gesture goes a tremendous long way in helping other like-minded Trekkies find us. Write a review and we will read it on air. And now, to Deep Space Nine. All right, I said stop music. Now, to Deep Space. Quantum Leap wants to play the whole way.
That is Quantum Leap?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's so crazy, dude.
I was standing in front of the obelisk, and as I looked up for one moment, I understood it all. Bahala, the orbs, the occupation, the discovery of the wormhole. The
the coming war with the Dominion.
You could see the future as well as the past?
For one moment, I could see the pattern that held it all together.
Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Season 5, Episode 10, Rapture. Written by Hans Beimler, directed by Jonathan West. An accident causes Sisko to have prophetic visions. All right, Connor, what are your pros for Rapture?
Oh, first off, though, I think my favorite pro is definitely the ending where Sisko, where Avery Brooks really hams it up. You know, for, they're gone! My powers!
You will pay for your lack of prophetic vision.
Okay, Palpatine.
Call me Sheev.
No one's going to call you Sheev. That is not canon.
It's the canon of George Lucas.
Now then, Cassidy Yates is back. Oh, yeah. So, I like that. I like the Sisko v. Family Dawn of Good Acting scene. I think that was really good, where Jake was freaking out that his dad's like, yeah, I'm gonna die, but, cool visions, dude. That's pretty reasonable, I think. Basically, Sisko becomes Indiana Jones mixed with Moses. I think that's a pretty good analogy for Sisko.
Indiana Moses. Or Moses Jones. Way better.
Osmosis Jones. I'm pretty sure that's a
Oh,
movie.
snap. That is, and has Bill Murray in it.
There you go. I
think so. Anyway. Oh, man. Good. I don't know if that's a good movie. I haven't watched it, but I know what it is. Now then, so I like that he's taken Cassidy Yates down into this cave, and she's just kind of like, what are you doing? And then he's like, hey, I don't need this negativity. And then he just shoots a hole in the wall, and bam, Lost City found. You know, I wish my dad took it that well when I was digging up for dinosaur bones in our backyard.
You didn't find any.
I didn't, but I did find some plastic bottles.
Refreshy.
100 years in the baking.
Our plastic
for the
bottles.
environment.
Yes, they never erode.
That's true, and that's what makes them so good. Take that, nature.
Refreshy. Take that, nature.
Refreshing for everyone except Mother Earth.
That's good.
Hey, Dad. Jordan, Lita. I find your guys' sense of humor refreshing.
So hesitant. I almost went for crickets. You're on thin ice.
Basically Sisko says that Bajor will be totally destroyed if they join the Federation, which is foreshadowing to Prophet and Lace. So I think that's kind of cool that there's a lot of foreshadowing in this episode to Quark and Drag. So you kids have a lot to look forward to. A lot of childhood trauma to really
let it fester in your mind.
Yes, I just want to throw this out there before it happens. Been having these weird, just embarrassing outbursts of these prophetic visions I've been having. So if I just yell something, just don't even pay attention. I mean, it's probably 99% going to come true, but don't want that.
Just clutching the wall, screaming.
I'm not scared at all.
You've been having headaches, Jordan?
Oh, I didn't want to say anything, but yeah, awful.
Okay, well, I'm glad you're picking that over your children. Have fun looking at the future.
Anyway, Sisko finds El Dorito, the lost city of mold. So I think that was kind of cool. He found an ancient lost city, dude.
Anything else, Connor?
No. But you know who does? Her name's L-E-T. It's your turn, Lita.
Let? You're so close.
That was better than most
Closest
people.
he's ever been.
Okay, L-E-T. A-S. A-S.
Okay. I've
S
actually
is
been
silent.
called Lisa by a coworker for around 8 months now, and I can't tell them. It's too embarrassing.
You should wear like a massive name tag to work.
Maybe. All right. Let's see. I liked this episode. It was fun. I was really hoping it would go great places in the beginning. I love a good treasure hunt. And I guess this is a little bit of a neutral zone, but I was hoping it would have more of a mummy feel to it and get some, scary stuff going. But I liked Worf's fake ancient proverb to Quark. It's always good to get one of those.
The Klingons do not listen to teachers.
You cannot loosen a man's tongue with root beer.
Oh.
Right. And it was cute to see Quark so excited about the merger and all the Latinum he was going to get. It was fun. Let's see. Cisco's girlfriend is back. Finally. It's about time. That dude clearly needs a girlfriend.
Yeah.
It's getting a little bit stir crazy, I think, here.
Puzzles.
I loved the purple Teletubby Bajoran dude that arrived with Kai Wen, sorry.
Close. Can you put a shirt on?
No. Those pants up higher.
No, they don't go higher. That's like there's retired old man in Florida, and then there's Kylo Ren.
You can feel the dark side coursing through your abs.
I love the scene where Jake is deciding to have surgery on his father, and just the reaction that you get to see from Kira. And the moment he decides, you can see her face behind them. And you can see this wave of sadness cross her face as she hangs her head. And in the end, she ends up backing his decision to Kai Wen. I just thought that was great writing and great acting, and it was subtle, but I really enjoy noticing little things like that, and I think that she did a great job in that acting. But those are my pros. Jordan?
Oh, sorry guys, my headache's coming back.
What do you see, Jordan?
Have you considered it a lobotomy?
They'll destroy this podcast unless Jeremy does it alone. Oh, sorry. Oh. What did I say? All right, everybody out. It's a one-man show now.
Oh,
wait.
Yeah.
Ready for Ferengi rap and some taken out of context.
Hit it.
How about taken out of context Ferengi rap?
Hey, Jordan.
Done.
I know this homeless guy in this alleyway. It's pretty nearby to your house, I think, and he can give you a lobotomy for a few cents.
Oh, great.
That'd make
I'll
the
look
vision
into that.
stop.
Are you still here? This is my podcast now. Jordan foresaw it.
Oh, darn it.
That's right.
But I wanted to join this podcast, but I guess he is my spiritual leader.
Each week's episode is going to be 4 minutes long.
Oh, man. So Cisco gets woke? Did I use that right?
I think use it as right as anybody has on this podcast.
The ancient Klingon proverb was great, like Lita mentioned. I liked Kira's character growth in this episode as well. Just her coming almost full circle from where she starts, an emissary and not wanting the Bajorans to join the Federation, to now, because of her experience and with Cisco being the emissary and just how much she respects him, as an officer and as a religious leader, she wants Bajor to join the Federation. And then the Federation membership, it's rare that we get to see, that they're throwing basically a party that a new species is joining them, which I thought that was kind of unusual. And then Quark has his little flags that he has. He got the wrong one up, and then he's got another one behind his bar.
Welcome, Klingons.
Yes, that was pretty funny. Cisco, when he's talking to Kira about Kai Wen coming aboard, he's like, tell her that, just make something up. I thought that was fantastic. That phaser setting that Cisco uses to shoot through that rock wall was interesting. I don't think we've ever seen that before. Kai Wen and Kira's conversation, where she's talking about how the soldiers weren't the only ones that were oppressed, that the religious leaders were oppressed, and that they didn't have their guns, they only had their faith. I thought that was a really telling moment. You almost feel bad for Kaiwyn when she's talking about like being beaten several times by Cardassians. That was pretty intense. I thought there was a lot of foreshadowing this episode and just great writing. And in the fun facts, I found even more like callbacks of random Bajoran stuff from season 1 and season 2 episodes that they put in here, which is crazy. And this is just a really, important Sisko episode as character growth from being reluctant of being the emissary to where he's really embraced it and he's willing to almost sacrifice his life to find this lost city and understand what it is the prophets are trying to show him and tell him about Bajor and trying to save, their planet essentially. So I thought that was really powerful stuff. Really great episode overall. We could see Cassidy Yates back. I thought she's kind of my neutral zone. She was a little high and mighty, I thought, for someone who just got back in town after lying to Sisko and then basically telling him exactly what to do and what he should do. Not that she was completely wrong, but I don't know that she had earned that right yet. Also, neutral zone, Admiral Watley. I guess he was okay. Not my favorite admiral.
You're scaring me, Jordan.
His acting is not great. And not in like a not great way, like Bernie Casey. Like I really wish he was still around for this. Would have been way better.
What the hell does that mean?
I was about to say the Hudson.
That's right.
The
and
Hudson
Sisko
Hawk?
goes
The Hudson
full
River.
Miss Cleo.
Miss Cleo.
Whoa.
Yes,
That's a pull.
he's like, okay, man, your son still loves you. Like, he was just going, hey, your crops are going to be fine, man. Like, it was crazy. He's just going around just doing little prophecies, and I'm surprised he didn't pull out his tarot cards. But, no, aside from that, really solid episode. This is something I could almost see Picard doing as far as, like, finding the puzzle, piecing it together, finding this lost city. I will say, I guess this is neutral zone kind of con. It progressed almost too quickly. Like 1 minute he's looking at it, then he's figured it out. Oh, Cassie's back. Oh, I'm taking you to Bajor. Oh, I found the city. Like, it was really, really quickly done. I thought it could have been paced a little bit better. But that's pretty much all my pros, Jeremy. What do you got?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. I definitely would rather have Sisko be Miss Cleo than be that Sylvia Brown hack. You remember that? You remember that psychic? Oh, she was on Montel Williams all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She would be like, one person was on there and she's like, can you tell me about my husband? And then she'd be like, oh, honey, he drowned in a fire. Like, well, that doesn't make sense.
In a fire.
But then she was like, well, he was in the buildings at 9/11. And she's like, oh, well, there was a lot of water at the bottom. Like, how do you live with yourself, you monster? But she doesn't have to. She's dead.
You know who else was a monster? Martha Stewart.
Oh, she's fine.
Your tax recipe. Your tax recipes may be delicious.
Her tax recipe is to not pay taxes.
I'm tired of you not paying your food.
Don't pay them.
Yeah. Yeah, Wesley Snipes loved her tax recipes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so did O.J. Simpson.
Yeah.
He fared very well.
I talked about this
Saved
last
the
week.
world from vampires, though. So
Yeah,
true.
3
get a
times,
tax
in
cut.
fact, each better than the last.
Well,
diminishing returns.
yeah. I really love the new uniforms. This always was the era of Star Trek that I loved the most is when they got these first contact uniforms. So I love seeing those. I love Sisko. I think Bashir looks amazing in that uniform. I think you only see Bashir, Dax, Worf, and Sisko in them, but they look great. And O'Brien a little bit saying I don't like religion.
Good. Would Worf's mom look at one of these uniforms?
Oh man.
Aww.
Too bad she drowned in a fire.
Her mouth.
Cigs.
Oh man, so if she died in 92, that's right after that episode.
Dang.
Yeah, it was very close.
This is season 5 and it started in 87.
I miss the 90s.
I hope she was alive during the taping.
Are we having like a weekend at Bernie's moment here?
I don't see why people dislike Bajoran episodes so much. They've always been something that I've really dug, and this is no exception.
As long as Vedic Bryle's not in them.
Right, that I get. And I'm not a spiritual man, but I know what spirits are. I enjoy delving into the realm a bit and seeing the struggle of juggling the roles between emissary and captain. I always found really fascinating. Wynn in her speech to Kira about how hard it was to teach religion during the occupation, I just love how three-dimensional even the villains are in this show. And I love all the foreshadowing that comes from Sisko's visions. I can't wait to see if all or any come true in future episodes. Neutral zone-wise, yeah, Avery Brooks was a bit hit or miss this week with his Siskoisms, but I thoroughly enjoyed the, like, you took it away. I like that part at the end. I really felt that.
You don't understand. It exists.
We're not there. We're not there. All right, Cutter, what are your cons for DS9? Rapture.
I was waiting for the cons, but I'll do it myself. Now then. I do have kind of a problem with how quickly they trust Cassidy Yates. That never happened. I think they trust Cassidy Yates a bit too much, considering she's an ex-con and she lied to you. She's the Alexander of grown women. So, yeah, you can't exactly trust her. She was smuggling butter to the Maquis. That's a crime, right? And the second he sees her, he makes out with her. Monster. Have you no virtue, sir?
At least Worf didn't do the same.
That's true. He didn't, but his mom kissed him on the lips.
Okay, so
you demented freak. Anyway, your son forgives you. I don't know why I'm laughing at that.
He was trying.
Your son forgives you. My son's been dead for 3 years.
Well, I mean, he was, the water.
The water. Yeah, I can hear him drown, but it's happy. He loves the water. Did your son love the water?
Couldn't swim.
It's a metaphorical water. Yeah, but I do have problems with that, and I actually kind of like that the Admiral wasn't a bad admiral, but even still, his acting was. It's not as hammy as you took it away, but it was still kind of like. I
like that acting, sir.
Sisko, you're breaking my heart. You're scaring me, Ben. So I don't know. I wasn't huge on him, but yeah. Hey, Lita, do you hate this show? I do.
Do I what?
I hate everyone who likes it.
I like cheese.
Yeah, like a good Swiss, like a good Buddha. A lot of mold in there, but the mold is the crunch.
Well, what I do hate was the inside of the holodeck recreation that Sisko makes for this thing. It just reminds me so much of one of those spinning disc fair rides on the inside, and I just get a little
Ravatron.
I get a little nauseous every time I'm in there. You always get sprayed with questionable fluids.
I don't always get sprayed with questionable fluids.
Okay, well, don't go to a spinning ride at a beer festival.
Okay.
Lesson 1 for you.
Lesson learned.
I don't know. I felt like Sisko was a little bit cuckoo for me. It was getting a little bit creepy. It's just very, I don't know. I can't get into the Bajoran. I liked this episode a lot. But I just couldn't get into the whole
cuckoo for creepy puffs.
Just like, oh, I'm here to save the day and I'm going to tell you your future. And
I like
I don't know. But
the crystal ball of fate.
I don't know. And I thought that Cassidy must really like this dude to instantly want to just pop back in and just start crawling around in caves and just hop right back on board.
It's the most romantic place in the universe.
After he put her in prison for 6 months.
Right, she's just out of prison. She's like, all right, let's go crawl around in some dusty caves.
It beats prison.
That's true. So does latrine duty.
It's more space down here. But I couldn't really think of anything really to say. So I didn't have any. Jordan?
I'd like to say that my puzzle mazes always come with a surprise in the middle. Nothing.
Yeah.
That fork line was hilarious. It's like, Captain, can I interest you in a puzzle maze? They always come with a surprise in the middle. Freaking hilarious.
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I was reading the newest issue of Ranger Dave magazine.
No one thought to check. Like, this is a famous painting, super old, lost city. Thousands of people have tried to find it, and no one thought to check the reflection in the water. Like, I'm not like an archaeologist or someone who tries to find lost cities, but that's probably the first thing I'd do if the only thing missing was the writing on the other side. Oh man, if only there was some way we could find it. It's also hard to believe that Cisco would choose the Visions over Jake, especially after the events of The Visitor.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even think
how
of
much
that.
Jake means to him and how much he knows Jake went through. So it kind of loses a little bit because of that. But overall, I mean, solid episode. I really enjoyed it. But those were only two things. Like the reflection thing seemed a little obvious, and then just the whole choice. I had a hard time believing that he was just going to sacrifice everything to maybe glimpse one more vision. He seems like he's a little more reasonable than that. So, but aside from that, Jeremy, you have anything to add?
Not a lot in terms of cons. I don't know, to counter the whole reverse mirror image thing. We have to remember too that the Cardassians have had this forever, and they just returned it. So they took it at the beginning of the occupation. So no one's had it for like 50 years. The Cardassians may have looked at it. The Bajorans may have too. And I remember,
yeah, but didn't they say it was an ancient drawing,
Yes.
like a drawing that's been around for thousands of years?
Yes, and I thought that going into this too, thinking that seemed a bit obvious. But no one ever said they didn't. That puzzle had never been figured out. But I feel like still having that part, Cisco didn't find it without the prophets guiding him.
That's true. True that.
I think that was the final component to everything.
They didn't have an emissary.
Right. Yeah, I thought the Admiral was a little weak in this. You're scaring me, Ben. Like, well, you don't seem like it, sir.
Deadpan everything.
Right.
I'm really excited to have Bajor on board.
I've brought visions, peace, and prosperity to my unearthed expedition. Your unearthed expedition.
I don't know what that is.
I think he went to the Tommy Wiseau School of Acting.
If you won't
And
dig
failed.
with me, you're my enemy.
I should have known. All right, let's go ahead and review Rapture. Connor, what do you give it?
I give this a 7. 7 Ferengi. Or no, not. Oh, wait. Did I write 7? No, I did it because I'm an idiot. I wrote 9. A 9 Ferengi Rapture.
Oh, a Ferengi rap?
Bum, bum, bum.
Sure.
I can't do the Seinfeld thing. Do we have
Hit
that?
it. We have the Ferengi rap. Let me just cue that up real quick. We'll just play that one more time.
Everywhere you look.
All right, Lita.
I gave it 8 uncomfortable admirals.
Nice. Jordan.
You want to drop that beat?
I really don't.
Give me a beat. Mike, hang on. Brother, isn't it a pity the Bajorans lost their city? I'll be back later.
I will give this a 8. 8 floating bicycle wheels. And maybe I don't like that Admiral because he called DS9 a floating bicycle wheel.
Yeah.
Was he someone from the cast of Next Gen?
Yeah, I give it 8. Also, 8 swarms of locusts heading towards Cardassia. Star Trek Wars Council give it an average score of an 8.15. So let's hear from them now.
Picking up communication, sir.
Barbara Whipple says, "This is a good episode and quite a conflict between faith and science. What a choice for Ben and Jake to have to make. What you know with your brain and what medical science teaches is pretty strong, but sometimes there is something more. I love that there are people of faith in this story, but a little annoyed that it is explained as aliens and also that the religious leader is such a smarmy little politician. I really liked Kai Opaka. She had integrity. 1 point off for Kai Wynn. Oh, and we find out why Quark runs a bar. The customers get drunk and he finds out things that lead him to more latinum." Brett Hetherington says, "Even though Ben couldn't seem to get his communicator position correctly, it is fantastic to finally see the first contact uniforms on DS9. I also love seeing more of Sisko embracing his role as the emissary and his connection to Bajor even more. I have to wonder, would the prophets really have allowed him to die if he hadn't been put under the laser scalpel?" And finally, Senior Council Member Derek Moore says, "I love episodes where the producers just say, 'Hey, Avery, don't worry about acting, just be yourself.' All that's missing is a piano. 8 end of the worlds as we know it."
Ooh.
And we feel fine. Jordan, fun facts.
Yeah, what he was mentioning there, referencing, is that Avery Brooks' comm badge is constantly up in like the gray area as opposed to down in the black where it normally should be.
Gray,
so this is the first episode to feature the Starfleet officers wearing the new gray top uniforms, which appeared first in Star Trek First Contact. The scene with Sisko carving shapes into the melon was intended as an homage to the famous mashed potato scene in the 1977 Steven Spielberg film Close Encounters of the Third Kind. While talking to Jake and Cassidy Yates, Sisko described holding his newborn Jake in his arms. This was also one of the moments he experienced in his first encounter with the prophets in the episode Emissary. It is stated that the iconic painting of Bahala is to be placed in the State Museum in Ilvia. Later in the episode, Sisko tells a Bajoran woman on the promenade that the caterpod harvest will be much better this year. Both of these Bajor-related references were first heard in the Season 1 episode Progress, in which it was stated that large crops of caterpods were grown in Ilvia.
Wow.
So just like small little things, like they're obviously going back and rewatching or reading the scripts of these episodes, because that's such like subtle stuff I wouldn't even realize.
That's crazy good.
I heard him talking about that, like he was at the Peldor Festival, which I got and loved because they have that on the station each year, but I didn't get those at all. That's insane.
Yeah, and I'm going to start looking at my children's food when they start playing with it to see if they're trying to find lost cities or anything, any clues in there. Because my kids are always playing with their mashed potatoes. So.
Now you know why.
They're mashed potatoes.
Oh, that's all the fun facts this week for Deep Space Nine.
Right, fantastic.
On the next Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
All right, Connor, what happens next time on Deep Space Nine?
Sisko goes on a more personal excavation to quench his son's thirst with pure, clean water. Jake, hey, Dad, we're out of that red hopping cactus sap. Can you replicate some more? Sisko, is it possible? That water is a fresher alternative. Refreshy. Dad, you know that Refreshy, or Dad, did you know that Refreshy cleanses your soul and throat? Refreshy. Remember, Refreshy, or REFRESHE, that's Refreshy. It's good for you. Buy our products. It tastes so good. And remember, remember, kids, you will only fit in if you drink Refreshy.
Catchy jingle.
I see your songwriting skills are on point like mine.
They have, dude.
So, straight out of Bajor.
I'm sorry you got that from my side of the family.
Crazy nerf herder named Brunt Cube. He nerfs herds with Attacube.
With Attacube? Nope.
Can I get another shot? I'm kidding.
Maybe if it was like a Borg with Attacube, that'd be almost.
I didn't think of that.
Yeah, Lita.
Straight out of the Collective. 7 of 9.
Next time on Cooking with the Ciscos, Ben stares at a pepper and hums, while Jake makes a spicy jambalaya. That's it.
Nice.
He hums Amazing Grace at a jalapeno.
Sure.
Quark conducts an experiment to see if he can actually get drunk on root beer.
No, but you can get fat.
That is true.
Yeah, as he soon learns.
All right, when we come back, we will jump into Voyager. Money is no longer driving. Money is no longer the driving force. Why do I write so stupid?
So close.
Money is no longer the driving force for humans in the future. But as the bill collectors for this podcast constantly remind me, we're not quite there yet.
We're in crippling debt, folks.
Maybe if I could read, I'd make more money. So that's what our Patreon is for. If you have $1 or more you can live without, please consider becoming a Patreon member. $1 a month helps tremendously, and $5 makes you a senior council member. You'll get a better chance of your comments read on air, the ability to leave a voice recording for the podcast, and access to Patreon exclusive bonus episodes. Patreon members on any level also gain access to each new episode of Star Trek Wars 2 days early. Not only that, but the episode will be raw and unedited, so you get to hear the live recording as if you were sitting in on the episode with us.
What?
So if you like what we're doing, there's an empty chair right there.
That is true.
Taste
Just for
my
you.
money.
Are you sitting there now?
Oh, dude.
Eric?
Yeah. Joseph?
So if you like what we're doing here at the Star Trek Wars podcast, please donate to our Patreon page, Mary.
Jane?
Patreon.com/Star Trek Wars. Now on to Voyager.
Impressive. You gave a masterful performance.
I'm the one who's impressed. With your selflessness, your humanity. It made all this so much easier.
Oh, but what about your selflessness? That touching story about the little girl. Was that a fabrication, too?
Oh, that incident was real. What I didn't tell you was that after wrestling with my ethics, I realized that I'd done the right thing.
You did.
Star Trek Voyager, Season 5, Episode 10, Counterpoint. Written by Michael Taylor, directed by Les Landau. While passing through Devore space, Voyager is routinely searched.
You say that faster.
A divorce space.
Divorce. Oh, it does sound like divorce space.
Yeah, that's a horrible website that did not last very long. MySpace, divorce space.
Looking to get a divorce?
Yeah, welcome to another episode of Divorce Space.
The ultimate anti-dating app.
Just one long argument the entire time.
Connor, what are your pros for Counterpoint?
Pros? Oh, I have a few, my compadres. First off, Janeway and Mark the Alien. Oh, man. They were one spicy fiesta. You know, and because you can feel like the tension the whole time, man. And they're just shooting out some techno jargon, but all I can focus on is their eyes. They lock to each other like a falcon to a worm. Oh, man.
Well,
Sends shivers down my spine. Body aching all the time. Now then, I do like that Janeway is basically hiding these refugees using clever hologram technology, which I think is actually pretty creative because they're holding. I don't know where they're really holding their signatures or where they are.
Transporter buffer.
Right, and so I would assume that's like some sort of void. They're just like trapped in a void for a few hours. Oh, it's like
Don't
when I
worry,
dream.
Captain. I'll protect your telepaths. Oh, that's a horrible JC.
Oh, I thought that was like a Malcolm Reed impression.
It's pretty close.
I'll protect them, sir.
They would have got caught like instantly. Here, wear these leather jackets. They'll never find you. Here, cue the fog machine.
Rapido!
I'll hide you. I'll hide you all.
I'm with Section 31. You can't say that out loud.
With my black badge.
I'll hide you all in my trench coat.
I miss that guy. I miss
do
that
too.
little man.
I miss Enterprise. Because I want to give it back to you, the podcasters. So I kind of thought it was kind of interesting that these guys are doing routine inspections, looking for telepaths, and that Janeway's making up lies. You know, Alexander style. What's her name? Cassandra? Who's Cisco's love interest? Casca? Yes, Casca.
Casket Yates.
Casket Yates. Oh, that's such a cool name. It's like a pirate name.
There's a lot of lying this week, isn't there?
There is. Now, so I do I don't know what his name is. The alien guy?
Kashyyyk, like the
Kashyyyk.
Wookiee homeworld.
I believe that's actually called Kashyyyk.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you should know your Star Wars canon, dude.
So I kind of liked him, and I wish he wasn't because I'll talk about it more in my cons. But I thought it was kind of interesting that he's actually kind of defecting and helping these people out, and he feels bad for what he did. Well, supposedly, but I mean, I think that's far more interesting than what actually happened, which I think is pretty disappointing and pretty typical of Voyager. Not disappointment. I mean, that's often, but I mean, the wasting of good characters. How many characters has Voyager lost or killed off that were actually interesting? They murdered Tuvix. Suter died anticlimactically when he was the best character on the show. I think he was even better than Seven, and I like Seven and the Doctor. I like them the most.
Weeks of pad, gone, one episode.
Yeah, and who's gonna sell drugs?
Doctor,
Mm-hmm.
dead.
Yeah, the Cardassian Doctor was awesome.
Who
Jonas brother, Seska, Maj Kula.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, did you say good characters?
Fear.
Fear. Yeah, the clown from
Why couldn't he have been a reoccurring cast member? Like, we brought Fear aboard.
Yeah, but you know what? I think Voyager makes the right choice by not letting that Cardi doctor on because we don't want to benefit from his research. Yeah, I'm not going to benefit from Martha Stewart's recipes because of tax evasion. That's stupid logic right there, man.
Talking about the wrong episode about someone that wasn't in either one of them.
It's true. So, yeah, that's all I got in my big old pot. So, Lita, jump in with all of us.
Alrighty then. I thought it was nice to see an intelligent villain once in a while. And I love the conversations between the Inspector and Janeway. And also, it was nice to see a little bit of a softer side of Janeway and just seeing her really enjoy working with this man and kind of almost welcoming the feelings they share and genuinely feeling for him and asking him to stay while still never trusting a single word he says. Like, she's open to it. She's ready for it, but she's been burned. Like, she's not gonna risk the lives of her whole crew just because she's got, like, a crush on somebody, which I think is pretty badass. The soundtrack was amazing. I loved it. It set the tone for the whole episode, and it was a nice change to have kind of a theme of this classical music running throughout it that worked very well. And I loved the Devore black on black uniforms. They were really cool. Mm-hmm. I liked those. But yeah, it was a good episode. I enjoyed it. I had fun. I watched it 3 times, and I'll probably watch it again sometime soon. Jordan?
I, too, enjoyed this episode. I thought it was a very cool way to start the episode as well, just with them coming on board. You could tell just from the writing that this had happened before, and so you're kind of left as the audience trying to figure out what the heck's going on, and Janeway just seems to concede to this guy, and he's like, I'm in your ready room, so she goes in there, the music starts playing, and they go through the song and dance for what appears to be at least the second time. So just a really cool way to start things, to not know exactly what's going on, but I was immediately intrigued. I loved the classical music, like you mentioned, how it kind of actually bookends the beginning and end of this episode. And it was just such a cool touch. I'm glad he wasn't listening to like Nickelback or something.
Never made it as a wise man.
Look at this photo. Yeah. So also he mentions the cultural contradictions of, you guys make beautiful art, but, all the war that's been on your world, and he's reading through their history. And just brings up some really interesting points. The anti-telepath storyline I thought was very interesting and really cool, that there's this whole region of space that is basically so against telepaths that they won't even let them pass through their space because they find them, just this huge prejudice against one particular race. And it is interesting. And when you think about telepaths, it could be very intrusive. Now, he's obviously never met Deanna Troi because I don't think he'd be so scared of him. But yeah, it's just kind of crazy. And then the trick he employs as far as the double cross to make Janeway think that he's sympathizing with the telepaths and he wants to join her. He's been waiting for this opportunity. This huge game of intergalactic hide and seek where they're beaming the crew into the pattern buffers and then bringing them back and almost losing them. Janeway breaking what seems to be breaking the Prime Directive by rescuing this group, which we don't even really see that. And I wish we could have seen a little bit more of that, but it's not really necessary for the story. We know what she's doing and why she's doing it. I also really like the chemistry between Janeway and Kashyyyk, and mainly when they're working together, you could just see that she's enjoying working with him and they make a good team, but you don't really know at the time until later on that she's not trusting him and not fully letting herself give in. I also wish we could just replace Chakotay with Kashyyyk. Like, why couldn't he be a good guy?
Because he can't build tubs.
Yeah, and he can be the new first officer or something. I don't know. Kate Mulgrew does just a phenomenal job and a really great performance. Like Lita mentioned, kind of a softer side, and really not too much 7 of 9 in this episode from what has been a very 7 of 9 heavy few batches of episodes in season 4 and 5. She kind of takes a back seat, and it was really good just to see Kate Mulgrew get more of the spotlight and to act opposite of this character and kind of carry the episode. We get 2 new alien races. We get Neutral Zone Puffy Nose guy. That was interesting. Yeah, that was weird. Kind of reminds me of Dr. Flox's smile. We get the new ships as well, which I thought some of the ships were pretty cool looking. We get a whole double cross, triple cross situation going on with Janeway and Kashyyyk. You're not quite sure where this episode's going to go. I really like the scene where they come in and he thinks he has them, and they open up, they beam the stuff back on, and it's these cargo containers that are filled with vegetables. I thought that was just pretty awesome. Aside from that, I mean, that's most of it. I really did like the Tourette mention, Dinosaur Hunter. And I was surprised that Kashyyyk was not hairy like a Wookiee. But aside from that, really great episode. I enjoyed this one a lot. Like Lita mentioned, I've watched this one most recently, probably a couple years ago, and really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it this time, and I'll definitely watch it again soon.
Whoa, wouldn't that be crazy if Kashyyy's race was like the Sasquatch people of Earth that
I'm sorry,
left?
what did you say it was? It's Kashyyyk. Idiot.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm sorry.
So these guys actually were Wookiees when they first came on board, but when Neelix was showing them his cooking techniques, he singed all their hair off. That's why they didn't have eyebrows.
So,
fun fact.
Too early.
Hey, let's do the rest of our episode like the Christmas special.
That's what I was going to say.
Yes.
It's the only way that that special would be worse is if it was just in a podcast audio only format. Maybe it would have been better. I don't know.
Dude,
Maybe.
we should make subtitles for the Christmas special.
Oh, yeah. Perfect.
It'd be like a riff track, but in text form. So it's like a riff track from like the early 1900s.
Yeah. Yeah, I really enjoyed this episode too. Sometimes you just get a feeling like right from the start, there's like a different feeling about an episode, and I don't know, everybody's just kind of in their top of the game because right from the get go, it's like this is going to be a good episode. I love when the Voyager writers will actually like give their viewers credit to follow along with an episode without holding their hands from the very beginning. So you just kind of jump right in, and you have to start piecing things together. And I really enjoy that, and I liked. This is a very fascinating episode from top to bottom. There was some cool makeup designs too on that tadpole alien with the weird breathing, but his makeup was super cool. I mean, it kind of makes up for everybody else's just some latex on their eyebrows, but his was awesome. I mean, it looked like he was just wearing the clothes he came in on set with, but I mean, his actual the actual makeup looked great. I did like the relationship between Jav Watts and Cash-like. Thank you, spell check. Yeah, old Jav Watts and Cash-like. Janeway and Kashyyyk. No, he's Kashyyyk, right? He's not Kashyyyk. That's the Wookiees.
Yeah.
Janeway and Kashyyyk. I really liked the relationship that was built between them, and I really liked his character a lot, and the actor that played him. Hiding people in a transporter buffer, I thought was a great idea. I mean, I haven't seen it really done before, and I thought it was awesome. And it does. I mean, there's issues. You can't keep doing that.
Yeah, just like Pikia.
Yeah, you think Tuvix was bad. What if you melded 12 people together?
They're just a disgusting blob of like organs and feet.
Fingers for eyes. And just
shoot them out in space.
Kill me.
And what kind of name is that going to be merged with 12 people's names? It's just... yeah,
that'd be
we'll
great.
be able to say it. A great episode. Connor, what are your cons for Counterpoint?
There's some really original makeup for these aliens. I can see that the makeup department really had a I guess they spent all their money on the weird fish guy who I don't know. I can't really replicate the weird noises he makes, but it's quite annoying. But I think his makeup was really good. But of course, he pales in comparison to the great ridges that they put on their eyebrows. Yeah. Because we have never seen that before. And anyway, Journey to Technobabble. There was so much technobabble in this episode, especially when Janeway was talking to Kashyyyk. Then it was just kind of awkward. Because you're just waiting. You don't really care what they're saying because you're just kind of, waiting for the tension to break. So it's just kind of awkward because you're like,
we will finally figure out, the gravitomic anomaly.
They're just saying all this nonsense. You don't know what they're saying. You just know that they're talking about supernovas and stars and such. And it's not interesting to listen to. There's just too much technobabble for my small, fragile mind to understand. I think that it was kind of wasted that the guy just turned out to be evil, because I would have liked to see him become a permanent cast member, because I think he has really good chemistry with the Janester.
Mm-hmm. Old Jav Watts.
Yep, the Jabberwocky. Ooh, topical. So I think that he's just a way better actor than Jonathan Skinflakes or whatever Chakotay's actor's name is. Robert Beltran? Robert Beltran.
Skinflakes?
Of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would have liked to see a Chakotay killed off in some sort of freak, I don't know, skiing accident. And then just replace him with that guy. Kashyyyk. Oh, cash to the chick to the chick to the chic. Mm-hmm. Hey, speaking of which, L to the E to the T to the A.
You got it.
Lita, that's your name.
That is my name.
Got him.
Nice. Only took 10 episodes.
I didn't have a crazy amount of cons. More picky things. I think that Tuvok needs more episodes. I feel like he's just been a little stale filler lately, and I like a little bit more Tuvok in my life. And I just felt like it kind of was a little bit of a quick fix ending.
Yeah.
I wish it had played out a little bit fuller, and you could have. But it was a good surprise at the end, I will admit that. And did Janeway order broth to eat at one point? She just like ordered a bowl of broth.
Broth.
Do people eat broth? Just broth. But really, those are my only nitpicky things. It was an entertaining episode that I thoroughly enjoyed, and no regrets.
No regrets.
No regrets.
We got no regrets. We get a very heavy Tuvok episode in about 3 episodes from now, so you'll get your wish.
There's a prophecy.
Gravity. I would say rerouting power is always the solution to almost any problem. Like, they can't beam them up. Reroute the power. Like, maybe you should have tried that. That's like when you call tech support, like, did you try turning it off, turning it on again? Like, yeah, duh, add more power. Mm-hmm. Come on. Trevis and Flaughter is mentioned. Yes. That's a minimum 1 point deduction. Like, come on. We already went through this. We do not need them anymore. To bring up that pain. Oh. And
Triggered.
Lastly, and this is the worst of all, the thought of children, telepathic children, reading Neelix's filthy mind is just absolutely right before they go to bed. They're never going to sleep right again.
They'll just have images of him in the bath over and over.
Oh, no.
The kid's like, you want to get samples from the soles of our feet?
Oh. It was a really solid episode. Honestly. I don't have a whole lot to nitpick other than those few things. It was very enjoyable. Do you have anything negative to say, Jeremy?
Not a lot. But man, that Kashyyyk.
He's nothing but a flim-flam, man.
What's that? I can't do it.
I really enjoyed the character of Kashyyyk, and we'll probably nominate him for Best One-Off Character at the end of the year during our awards. I was really hoping, and you touched on this, Connor, that I was really hoping he wasn't going to do that obvious fake out double cross by the episode's end. Sadly, he did. But I still enjoyed him very much. Also, and Lita, you kind of talked about this. The very ending, he's just like, you bested me. I guess you guys can leave now. Like, what? Why don't you just like, okay, well, I'm going to murder your ship then if you're going to try and double cross us like that.
Yeah, you know what I would do?
Plenty of firepower.
Right.
I think because he really, really fell for Janeway, but he couldn't leave his cushy job.
That's weakness. But you know what
scared.
I think that if Janeway tricked me like that, I would have just like, okay, or like she tricked us with like their location. I've been like, okay, until you tell us where they are, we are gonna throw one of your crewmen out of an airlock every 20 seconds. So either you do that.
It's like a respect thing, man. It's like losing to your rival team on a buzzer beater. Just like, you know what? They got me this time.
You don't set out to murder their family afterwards?
Well, I'm not saying it's never happened, but I've learned my lesson.
All right, let's go ahead.
Allegedly.
Let's rate Counterpoint. Connor, what do you give it?
I give this 7. Every rose has its thorn, but every cowboy, I don't know the rest of the song.
That's pretty good. He sings a sad, sad song. Lita, what do you give it?
I gave this one a 9 handsome tricksters.
Nice. Yep, you do love that Neelix. Jordan?
Furry.
I will give this a 9 as well. 9 masterful performances.
Nice. Jordan, what did you give Rapture? I didn't write it down.
I gave it an 8. Okay. 8 floating bicycle wheels.
Right. Perfect. I give this one an 8. Also, 8. But you probably already knew that because you're hiding a telepath from me, aren't you? Star Trek Wars Council. Give it an average score of an 8.1. Let's hear from them now.
I think we're being hailed.
Senior Council Member Ronald Wilson says, Janeway gets a relationship, we get an excuse to indulge in a little bit of classical music, and you know they are both just playing each other. 5 replays of Malar? Senior council member Derek Moore says Janeway gets a relationship. It's the same thing. Oh my god. Sorry for everybody. I just cut and pasted the same 2 things. And finally, I'm firing on all cylinders tonight, baby. Senior council member Benedict Schneider says Voyager is currently my favorite Trek. Something I wouldn't have thought would be possible a year ago.
Wrong.
I have never watched Voyager before, so every episode is new to me. And it's the show I am looking forward to the most of the 3 remaining ones. This episode was great. Janeway outsmart the Inspector, though the Gestapo parallels were a bit on the nose. And really, Malar, how pretentious. 9 eager praxis from me. Jordan, fun facts.
According to interviews, this episode is Kate Mulgrew's favorite episode. The actor playing Tuvok previously played a human villain in the Next Generation episode Starship Mine named Devore. In this episode, Tuvok hides from an evil regime called the Devore. Whoa. Mind blown. While crewman Gerard is never shown on screen in the television series, the character does make an appearance in the very first Star Trek first-person shooter, Star Trek Voyager Elite Force. Awesome game. She is a member of the Hazard Team, a special commando unit, falsely accused, unit created and trained by Lieutenant Commander Tuvok to deal with the unique threats encountered by Voyager in the Delta Quadrant. So, if you need some more crewman Gerard in your life, go play Elite Force.
Awesome.
I believe Chell is in that game as well.
Or Noah's Ark 3D.
Yeah, they're all great choices.
They are.
All new Star Trek Voyager.
All right, Connor, what happens next time on Voyager?
So, a temporal anomaly causes an internal shift that targets Harry Kim, and it spawns whatever he was thinking of last, and it spawns Sheev Palpatine.
Have the Emperor sent them out to do?
Are we going to get a Palpatine Janeway scene? Oh, God.
What have you summoned me? Mr. Emperor, please call me Sheev. No. Let's get down to brass tic-tacs. My favorite band is David Crockett and the Rocketeers. What's yours? I'm Robert Cheeseway, this kind of guy. I see. Security, throw Palpy out of my lock. Get your hands off of me. I am the Senate.
We do this all the time. See, old man? But down.
Oh, man.
That
was a ride.
Yeah. Unintelligible conversation of all time.
I was on the edge of my seat, getting ready to leave.
I am this podcast.
Lita.
You didn't like it? So it's
Right. So I wrote a deleted scene about what happened the night before with Inspector Kashyyyk and Janeway after she comes back through calling through an airlock to get away from the... Yeah, but it wasn't very PG, so I had to cut it. So, Jordan?
Okay, so once the crew finds out that they can actually use the transporters to hide people in the pattern buffer, they immediately convince Neelix by having him visit the doctor and have a checkup that he is slightly, just the most minute amount of telepathic. So they tell him that they need to hide him for the rest of the trip through divorce space. So they hide him in the buffer and never see him again.
Oh, I love.
Could you imagine if you could just hide Neelix in the pattern buffer until the off chance that you might need him someday?
Yeah, but I'd be terrified to use the transporters again, just because I know he's in there.
That's very true.
Yeah, they did, like I just imagine it seemed like the Voyager's in desperate need of help. Like they're about to be destroyed, and Janeway's like at the transporter bay, and she's like,
"We shouldn't do this. Remember what happened last time. It's a weapon so powerful it'll destroy both sides in the war.
And they're just shooting Neelix through space. He's like the doomsday machine. They're shooting phasers at him, but it just bounces off.
Whee!
Hey, it's me, Neelixio.
Which is Italian for Neelix.
It is.
True.
I have a taken out of context of the week, but it's way more kid appropriate this week, and it's short, so I'll go ahead and play that now.
Let's do it in the morning. We've done enough for tonight.
All right. So,
very tame.
Who won Star Trek Wars this week? Using the
Space
combined
Nine.
average score of ourselves, and you guys that voted at home, here's the breakdown. And I will tell you, this is the absolute closest week we've ever had between number 2 and
I was
number
going
1.
to ask if we had a tie.
There was a 0.01 percentage.
Unimatrix 0.0001?
Yes. So coming in last place.
Deep Space Nine.
Yes. With a combined average score of a 5.12.
Alexander.
Yep. Next Generation's New Ground.
No! It is wrong. It is wrong. Not good enough, damn it. Not good enough.
All right.
You should have had a clip of Alex there saying, I'll do better next time, Daddy.
And then I could have Picard yelling, no.
No, you won't.
All right. This is where it gets crazy.
Kookopulous.
We have an average score of an 8.22 and an 8.23.
Oh,
Winning this week with an 8.23 is Deep Space Nine's Rapture.
To manufactured triumph.
Manufactured triumph. Hear, hear. Hear, hear.
Wow, that was crazy.
so close.
Those kids, am I right?
Congratulations, DS9, and congratulations, Voyager. That was a great episode. Want some sweet Star Trek Wars or Star Trek Wars Council shirts, hoodies, or mugs? Head over to redbubble.com or follow the link attached to this episode. Star Trek Wars is available on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and anywhere else fine podcasts are heard. You can find us on Twitter at The Star Trek Wars or email us at StarTrekWarsPod@gmail.com. Jordan, always a pleasure. Where can they find you?
They can find me on the Star Trek Wars Council page on Facebook. And do you hear that?
What's that?
You hear that, Jeremy? The fans cheering for an encore?
I don't, but I'll take your word for it.
Oh, Jeremy, drop that beat, brother.
Oh, here we go.
These cubes are pretty square. The collective shares one pair of underwear.
One line, that's it.
Yep, all right, perfect.
That's all I got. Not my best work, but
Can I do my Borg rap now?
Of course, here we
that's
go.
what I was trying to do. Go for it.
My name's Seven, and I'm a Borg. You may think that I'm a Porg. That's not true. See? Because I'm just like you. Easy E. Oh, snap. Straight out of the Borg cube.
Yeah.
Crazy 7 name Ice now.
All right. Great.
Sorry, everybody. I'm a disappointment.
Yeah, don't worry. Join the club this week. It's good that we all know our strengths and weaknesses.
Equally beautiful.
All right, Lita, your turn.
You can find me
For rapping, Lita.
Sorry?
It's your turn
Rapping?
to rap.
I don't rap.
Well, we didn't either, clearly.
Yeah. It's all about art, man.
Okay, Lita, where can they find you?
I'm so blushing so bad right now. I shouldn't have told you that.
We could tell.
You can find me cooking with the Ciscos and on the Facebook page.
Fantastic. Connor.
I did forget something.
What's that? What's that, Jordan?
I'm actually, I probably should have told you this sooner, but I am starting a new podcast. It is about one of the finest silent movie stars, Charlie Chaplin from, the early 1900s, 1920s. But it's going to be a silent podcast, just kind of an ode to Charlie Chaplin. So my first episode will be dropping next week.
Just an old-timey piano play.
I'll be sure not to listen to it.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, look forward to that companion piece to Star Trek Wars, where we'll talk too much. Connor.
Well, you can find me wrestling with the voices of Janeway and Sheev Palpatine in my head.
That's got to be quite a battle in there right now.
Make them stop. Make them stop.
That's great, Connor. Next time on Star Trek Wars, we'll be reviewing the 11th episodes of Season 5. Data saves the life of an orphan boy who begins to emulate him in Next Generation's hero warship. Someone is...
Warship?
Warship. Over on Deep Space Nine, someone is killing Kira's friends off in The Darkness and the Light. And finally on Voyager, the Doctor finds out that some of his memories have been blocked in Latin Image.
Platinum Image.
Lucky Doctor. Who will win? Well, it's a battle that can only be decided through Star Trek Wars.
Star Trek Wars. Pew, pew, pew.
Guys, I've had a vision. So, here I was, picking my belly button, but then before me, a vision laid out. I see a moon, but I see locusts, and the locusts are coming out of this moon towards Alderaan. What does it mean?
That's no moon.
That's your mama.
Kapla. Butter your britches.
Those are all pretty good.
Could be for anything, I guess. What did you say butter your britches for?
I don't know. I just kind of said it, it just came to mind.
So, I'm not sure if this is our worst episode or our best episode.
It's really hard to say at this
We'll
point.
see tomorrow.
Yeah.
You could just have a bunch of you just have britches and some pieces of butter on it.
Well, I'd like to have artwork from one of the shows.
Oh,
Spray a little bit of Pam down there.
I'm sure if you
It's easier.
I can't believe it's not butter in my britches.
I wish it were.
Thanks for listening to Star Trek Wars.